And now it's time for a nerd movie. You know, Aren, so nerd movies encompasses lots of different genres. And we've already watched a few different genres so far. Space movies, superhero movies, horror movies.
I'm with you.
One thing that I think pervades a lot of nerd culture, generally speaking, is action. In all of these movies, there have been action. But then action movies are their own genre of nerd movies. So my question today, Aren, is what makes a good action movie?
Ooh. What makes a good action movie?
Explosions.
Lots of explosies. The set pieces have to be on point.
Yeah.
Story, I mean, it doesn't have to be there, but it's a nice boon.
So what you're saying is action movies need to have action to be good.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of an ethereal quality. What makes a successful action movie as opposed to like an unsuccessful one?
It can be it can be tricky because there are so many action movies and so many of them are bad, but they all have action.
Right.
Even good action, but then you're like, that sucked.
But it's so up its own butt now that you have like parody action movies, like making fun of the bad ones. Like there's just so many to choose from.
To the point where they are now the good action movies. I know. What a fucked genre. It's a surprisingly tricky question for about as surface level of a genre you could imagine. But I guess we'll see if we can figure out any answers to this question on Nerd Movies 4. Yay! Welcome to Nerd Movies 4, everyone. We are watching today Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes.
Perhaps one of the greatest action movies of all time. Who knows? Yes, for those who are new to the podcast, I am your riveting co-host, or just regular host, Jaron Hatch, and I join here by my thrilling co-host, Aren Cole. Hello, Aren. How are you? It's been a second since we've had a little record. Had a little holiday break.
This is our first
time back
in the new year
since recording our silly little holiday
of our Lord 2024
episodes. If you haven't checked out our Christmas special or New Year's special, please go check it out. Stuff of legend. So we actually normally cover Star Trek on this podcast, but we are in between little batches of Star Trek episodes. And we always like to do a little palate cleanser in between little batches of Star Trek. Wipe the slate clean, kind of watch something else. It gives us a nice little different perspective than just Star Trek. And we like to call them nerd movies.
Can't all be Star Trek.
No.
I mean, it can.
It can be 99% Star Trek.
I've seen what that looks like. You don't want to go there.
No, it's awful. It looks like the Star Trek streaming universe on Paramount Plus.
Imagine a convention in your house 24/7.
No good. And as always, we always like to bring on a few guests to come talk about these with us. We have a good mix of returning guests and new guests. First off, returning to the show, we have once again the very lovely Aren Hatch on the show. Yay! Hello. Welcome back, Aren.
Thank you for having me.
How are you today?
Tired, but I'm very excited to watch this movie again. I haven't seen it since theaters.
I think this movie will wake us all up.
Yeah, especially on your very pretty TV.
Yes, our 4K OLED TV.
It's lovely.
For those who don't know, Aren is my baby sibling. Last time you were here, we watched The Best of Both Worlds, the epic Next Generation two-parter where Couch Picard gets assimilated by the Borg. Oh no! Is that an action movie as far as Star Trek is concerned?
Maybe the second one, the second part a little bit.
Yeah.
Not the first.
Not part one. Yeah. So you've been on the show a few times talking about Star Trek, and I know you love Star Trek. But I also know you're a big fan of movies. Big fan of movies. You're often watching movies and like giving them star rankings.
Oh man, my letterbox D has popped off since like October, I think.
It's going crazy.
I just watch movies all the time, and I go to the theater a lot recently. The last one I watched and ranked or gave stars to was Weathering with You.
Weathering with You? I don't know that one.
It's an anime movie. I don't know if you ever heard Your Name. It's made by the same person. Your Name is spectacular and amazing. I did not really vibe with Weathering with You. I gave it 3 stars, though.
Okay.
Give 5 stars to Haunting of Hill House. Everyone go watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know at some point we have to talk about Saltburn because I recently watched Saltburn.
Oh, what'd you think?
I did like it. I wasn't satisfied with the ending, so that kind of took it down a peg.
Most people's opinions. I was like, this is great. But then once it started explaining things at the end, I was like,
I literally was like, no, don't tell me.
And it was just like so goofy the way that they did it too. I was just like, really? The last sequence, however,
yeah, stuff of legend.
Spectacular.
What is it about movies that draw? I mean, because like you are like actively seeking them out, ranking them. What is it about movies specifically that draws you to them to like have to watch and assess them?
Well, story for one, but not only that, all the different filmmaking aspects. I have really grown to enjoy like watching those and seeing how all the pieces work together. Because even though younger, I always enjoyed cinematography and how gorgeous it was. But recently, in the past like year or so, I really started to like notice more than just, oh, that was a gorgeous shot, but like how it might like set up another shot or what it might be revealing. And I love all the pieces coming together. Editing is another one that I like to notice. But yeah, I just really love stories a lot, and I learned so many things about writing when I watch them. And I'm a very visual person. I love to read, but it's been hard for me to read for years. These ones I can digest stories and all these visual elements, and it's much easier for me to kind of parse and remember. And also, they're very good to pass the time.
Of course.
Some
movies are fantastic.
I love just putting on a movie I've already watched. While I'm like cooking or even while I'm gaming or, stuff like that. So
while you're gaming?
Yep.
Just have a movie going too?
Yep.
Wow. I don't think I've ever done that.
I mean, not with like Baldur's Gate 3, but with like Final Fantasy 14, where I'm like, it's muscle memory. I'm like
Stardew Valley.
Am I even paying attention to what I'm doing? I'm just.
Yeah. Okay. I always just get so into games, so I don't know if I could do that. Like every time I think like, oh, I have something, like sometimes I'll try to have like a YouTube playing while I'm even like playing Pokemon. I'm like, no, I have to focus on my Pokemon. Yeah,
that's why it depends on the game, and it usually basically almost always has to be a movie you've already seen.
Okay. And as far as this movie is concerned, you're in this strange category where, in my mind, I classify you as like a hardcore fan of this movie, but you haven't seen it since the theaters.
No, I haven't, but I did see it 5 times in theaters, which is tied with 1917 for the most times I've seen a movie in theaters.
Wow. What is it about? I mean, it's been a while since you've seen it, and we're going to watch it, but having seen it 5 times, haven't seen it since then, but I know every time it's brought up, you're like, oh, I love that movie. If you just had to sum up real quick what it is you love about this movie, what would that be?
Gorgeous, innovative, and real.
Gorgeous, innovative, and real. Not bad. That's not a bad 3-word descriptor. I guess we'll see if it holds up to your lofty memories.
I already know it will. Yeah, I know it in my soul, Jane.
Spoilers, it does.
Yeah, try as I might, I'd like, is this movie actually as good as every? Yes. Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, I'm looking for. I think you're probably the closest we have to like a hardcore fan with us today. So I'll be curious to see your reevaluations, if there are any, with this one. Yeah, excited to watch it with you. Also on the show with us today, we have a couple of new guest hosts with us. Sitting on my left, we have the very lovely Rachel Murtagh with us today. Hello, Rachel.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. How are you today?
Pretty good.
Not too bad. Yes, Rachel is a good friend of mine and all the Hatch siblings. And
Yes, all the Hatch.
I apologize. All of us Hatch siblings are a bizarre bunch, so I feel bad for anyone who gets absorbed into our little circle. You moved here a few years ago.
I did, yeah.
And with your sister.
Yes.
I don't know if I ever asked what is it that brought you out here to lovely Utah?
Well, my sister and I both wanted something new. She came out first. When she came to Utah, she was like, "Oh my God, Rachel would love this. You've got the city and the nature right there, and I love having best of both worlds." So, I was like, "Yeah, let me come out and see how I like it." And I do. No one told me about the air pollution or the earthquakes or anything like that. I didn't do too much research. Clearly, I was desperate to try.
The earthquake is more of this impending could happen. Even though we had that during the pandemic, that little brief earthquake, we're just like, no.
Everyone that grew up in the 90s, like, is this it?
Rachel, a lot of times when we hang out, I feel like every hangout we've had basically just ends up just us like nerding out about books and shows we love.
Yeah, chilling. It's great.
Chillaxing for sure. I always like to ask this, especially for like the nerd. Everyone who comes on the show is a nerd of some degree. What kind of nerd would you classify yourself? More of like a literary nerd or like a fantasy nerd? I don't know. Like, how would you kind of categorize yourself?
Kind of more like a story nerd. I don't know. I would like to say I'm a literary nerd, but I go through long phases of sometimes not reading very many books and instead binging stories in other formats, through shows or movies. I love story. It's every time I look at like, oh, what is this hobby? It's the story that draws me in. Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you're looking for in a story? Is it like the plot, characters, all the above?
Usually for me, it's the characters. It does obviously have to have an interesting premise and plot and setting, but for the most part, really, it's the characters that draw me in. I'm very much more of I prefer character driven, which is kind of interesting because I really do like this movie that we're going to watch, but it's I don't know if you could call it like plot driven necessarily, but you end up caring about the characters. That's what. Yeah,
I'm sure we'll get into it. It's interesting. Like, there's actually not a dialogue in this movie compared to other movies, but there is some interesting character stuff for how action heavy it is.
Yeah, a lot of action movies, I feel like it is very kind of plot heavy. They're like, oh, this thing's happening, this thing's happening, and it's like, there's very little, as much character exploration. So,
because I was going to ask you, like, because you haven't seen this more or less since around the time it came out. You didn't see it in the theater.
I didn't. I watched it on my laptop just once, late at night. So my memory of it is hazy. I remember liking it though, but yeah, I don't remember too many.
This will be a slightly different experience. I was like, oh, on the laptop. Wow, what a way.
I know. Some movies you have to see it on a big enough TV or screen, and I didn't really do it justice that time.
Yeah, I'll be curious to hear what your thoughts are this time around. So I'm glad you're here watching with us.
Thank you.
Yay! And then last but not least, we have a newbie on the show with us. Also joining with us today, we have the very lovely Kait Wright with us today. Hello, Kait.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course. Kait, you are a roommate and friend of Aren. You have also kind of been, I believe, kind of sucked into the little Hatch circle.
I sure have.
Also, apologies. But you and I haven't really met or hung out really. So this is like our first time really hanging out. Very fun.
Yeah, I thought you were like a ghost or something.
I know. I'm such a little hermit over here.
Bring out your shaman stick later.
So, and just in the little bit of conversation we've had before we started recording, I can assume that you are also a nerd of some variety. I brought out Lord of the Rings and you got very giddy. My little volume of Lord of the Rings that I have. Yeah, is that true? Would you consider yourself also a nerd? And if so, what kind of nerd are you?
I am very much a nerd. I love literary nerd, books, video games.
Mm-hmm. The whole shebang.
I'm also like very much like a school nerd.
Oh,
Love
like
learning.
an academic.
If I could be like a professional student and not go like super into debt, I definitely would be.
Full-time student.
Definitely.
Hell yeah. You have not seen Mad Max Fury Road.
I have not.
Are you also like a movie nerd or as well?
Not so much. I don't watch a lot. I don't have any streaming services.
Wow.
I actually used to work at the movie theater back when Mad Max came out. Didn't go see it in theater. But when I quit the movie theater, I kind of stopped going to the movie theater. Not having free movies
You can't get the free movies anymore, yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. I did watch some movies in college. So a lot of my roommates. Sometimes Aren and I will have roomie movie nights. But other than that, I don't really watch anything, TV or movies otherwise.
All right. So that's going to be a whole different kind of thing for you, like new movie and just a movie in general.
I'm excited.
As someone, so you were in the theaters when this was coming out. As someone, I'm always curious, like when things are like pop culture phenomenons, and then like asking people who haven't really seen it or engaged with it yet, like as someone who is aware of the film, what are your kind of, I don't know, impressions of Mad Max Fury Road as someone who hasn't seen it?
I know very little about it. I think my biggest impression is there's a video game on the Steam store for PC that would go on sale, and I would look at it and be like, there's a movie on this. And I think Charlize is in it, and I love her. She always goes very hard on stunts and with acting.
Well, if you're a Charlize Theron fan, this is the movie for you.
Definitely. So I'm excited to finally see it because I didn't go see it when I was working in theaters when it came out. So
hell yeah,
that game is super fun too, by the way.
Mad Max, did you play it? Yeah,
super fun.
I haven't played it.
Good to know.
It looks like it's fun.
It comes on sale, maybe.
Yeah, if you like open world stuff, it's like
fun little open world experience. Oh hell yeah, it's certainly interesting to hear your thoughts and feelings on it. And then for the three of you, just very quickly before we get into it, I don't know, what do you guys think? And I know some of you aren't big action people, Rachel, but for the three of you, what in your mind makes a good action movie?
Something that Rachel said is that you have to have characters that you like and want to root for, which often action movies don't. I end up watching movies and I'm just like, I hate you all. If you die, I literally don't care. Like, in fact, I may be rooting for you to die. Which actually, in some cases, could be a positive in watching the movie. Whereas, like, if they actually end up dying, I'm like, yes, I love this movie. But yeah, you actually, plot, whatever. You need characters that you care about what's happening to them. But also you need something that's kind of like, maybe not necessarily unique, but like, this one has so many practical effects, if I remember, like, and like real stunts. And it's not, I don't know, it's not boring, because like, I think about like No Time to Die, where all the action scenes were basically just boring car chases, more or less. And I'm like, oh, look at this, another car chase. And it was just kind of like they were going through the motions, just like, oh, we have to have action, but we're not going to put real thought into it. Where this one is like, action is an art form, so.
I mean, it's all car chase, but really good car chase. Rachel, your answer from earlier, just the characters, is that kind of for you the biggest thing for a good action movie?
Yeah, for a good action movie, gotta be gotta have characters you're rooting for, because so much of it is literally action. Things are happening, and it has to be like visually pleasing and interesting to look at. And also for me, at least for me, probably Aren as well, a really good soundtrack as well is, I don't know, I think because if you have a lot of action, you may not have as much dialogue as other movies. So I think everything has to be pleasing. I particularly like the soundtrack from this one, which is why I mentioned that. There's a particular song that I think it's just very, very, so good. But just to reiterate
like
what,
a general
what
like aesthetic quality.
It's between
Visual
the
sound.
caring about the characters, the visually pleasing, because you're not there for the people talking. It's got to be interesting to look at. Yeah.
What about you, Kait? I know movies aren't as much your thing. I don't know. What do you think? If you're watching an action movie, what are you looking for, hoping for from a good action movie?
I'm going to take a completely different approach. I don't think character is as important in an action movie compared to other genres. I think this is one reason that big names are important. You might not get to know the character, but you're like, hey, I like that actor. I know that actor.
Jason Statham.
Vin Diesel, something. Charlize, love her. But anyway, I think one thing that's also really important is pacing. You've got to have a good pace. It also helps you overlook all of the plot holes, like a bunch of action movies. Like, if they'd done this, they could have solved this way easier. I think something else is really your ability to suspend belief in reality. Do something totally crazy, totally unrealistic, but make it believable. Wow, that stunt where he jumps out the window and lands on a mattress 20 feet below and somehow survives. Like something just totally crazy, unrealistic that you're like, wow, I wish I could do that. I think those are definitely some things that really make action movies and make them memorable.
It's almost like a power fantasy quality where you kind of want to see what's happening and be like, God, that's how cool if I could do stuff like that, that'd be cool.
I think definitely. I think when they create those films, and that's why, of course, like it's all these men characters and then the one totally gorgeous, beautiful woman, and she's the only woman in the whole film, the main guy always gets her.
Yeah.
So
this movie will be a
power.
little different as far as that dynamic is concerned.
Yes, I'm very excited for that.
All good answers. Yes. We are watching, of course, Mad Max Fury Road. This premiered May 7th, 2015. This is the fourth film in the Mad Max film franchise, though honestly, this is like a soft reboot or really like a standalone kind of movie. It's like, I have never seen the other Mad Max films. I need to. I hear the second one is also very lauded as an action film. I've seen bits and pieces, but I've never seen those original Mel Gibson films. One of these years.
There's something.
This is the brainchild of Australian writer-director George Miller, who has directed all the films in this franchise, including a prequel film that he's currently working on. So this film, along with the second Mad Max film, are often cited among the best action movies ever made. And, this is also one of those genre transcending movies where if you look at if you bring up Google, I don't know, best films of the century or 21st century so far, this film often appears fairly high on a lot of these lists. So not just a great action movie, but just a great movie in general. So it will be interesting to see what this movie has that maybe a lot of other action movies don't. And, tangentially, we are also going to be delving into the post-apocalypse genre with this one, which we haven't really gotten into in the podcast. We watched Star Trek, which is definitely not post-apocalypse. It's the opposite of post-apocalypse. Yeah, and so post-apocalypse these days is fairly common of a genre. Books, video games, movies. You kind of see a lot of post-apocalypse these days, so it'll be fun to see if this movie helps shed any light on the appeal of that genre, and maybe what works or doesn't work about post-apocalypse stories. Okay, for everyone at home who's going to watch along with us, this is your invitation to watch along. Mad Max is streaming, appropriately enough, on Max. Otherwise, you can rent it on Amazon, Apple, wherever. We are, of course, watching the fancy 4K Blu-ray version. And yeah, we will all see you after we watch Mad Max Fury Road.
All right. This is your way home.
We go back?
Back?
Yeah.
I thought you weren't insane anymore.
What are they saying?
He wants to go back from where they came.
Citadel.
What's there to find at the Citadel?
Green.
And water. There's a ridiculous amount of clear water. And a lot of crops.
It's got everything you need, as long as you're not afraid of heights.
Where does the water come from?
He pumps it up from deep in the earth, calls it aqua-cola, and claims it all for himself.
And because he owns it, he owns all of us.
I don't like him already.
It'll take 2 weeks to skirt the wall of mountains.
No. I suggest we go back the same way we came. Through the canyon.
It's open, we know that, right? He brought all his war parties through.
So we take the war rig and we charge it right through the middle of them. We can decouple the tanker at the pass. Shut it off behind us.
Kaboom. And how exactly do we take the Citadel? Assuming we're still alive by then.
If we can block the pass, it'll be easy. All that's left are his war pups. And war boys too sick to fight.
And we'll be with Nux. He's a war boy. He'll be bringing us home, bringing back what's stolen as he's meant to.
Yeah. Feels like hope.
I like this plan. We can start again. Just like the old days.
Look. It'll be a hard day. But I guarantee you that 160 days ride that way. There's nothing but salt. At least that way, you know, we might be able to... together. Come across some kind of redemption.
All right, we just got done watching Mad Max Fury Road. For those who haven't seen this before, didn't watch it with us, shame on you. Stop listening to this podcast and go watch it. But yeah, in case you haven't seen it, so basically in this movie, it's in the apocalypse. There's been like nuclear war and there's no water and gasoline's short, and Max is just kind of like a rogue roaming around. He gets captured by a band of I don't know what you call them. A band of bandits, scavengers. They take him to their citadel, the home of the Immortan Joe, who has basically, he runs everything because he has control over all the water. The Immortan Joe sends out a war party to go get gas from Gastown, led by his Imperator Furiosi. Oh, God, all these nouns and adjectives. How do you describe this movie to someone who hasn't seen it? He sends out a war party led by his Imperator Furiosa to go get bullets and gas. And then she goes rogue. And so the Immortan Joe sends out a huge war party after her. Max is also part of that as like a trophy on the front of the car. Many vehicle shenanigans ensue. Turns out what Furiosa is actually doing is she has rescued the Immortan Joe's brides, his breeding stock, for lack of a better term.
His harem.
His little harem. She is taking them to where she grew up to be safe. Max eventually gets free, joins their party. After a long chase, they eventually get to where Furiosa comes from. There's nothing for them. And then Max suggests that they turn back and basically take them on and then go to the Citadel where they can live. And they do. And they eventually end up killing the Immortan Joe. And they go back to the Citadel and live happily ever after. And Max goes off on his merry way. Just another wanderer in the wilderness. God, it's such a hard movie. There's not a lot of plot, but it is a hard movie to describe to someone who has not seen it. But that is essentially what it is, and there's lots of little nuance and character stuff in there. We always start with initial thoughts. Kait, as the newbie, initial thoughts on Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes, so when I first heard of the movie, I thought Fury Road would be like symbolic, like some sort of transitory period. No, it's just like a giant car chase. This movie is just a giant car chase with explosions, but it's so cool. The world building and the lore behind this, that's what really kept me going. Like the pole cast, like the guys that are on these like giant pole vaulting bars on the cars, and then they just like kind of like swing into other cars, the spears that blow up. Yeah. Also the fact that the guzzoline somehow just keeps automobiles going and going and going. Like this car chase went for 48 hours maybe, and they didn't really stop and refuel. So yeah. Whatever happened to gasoline, this guzzoline stuff is just...
They've got it.
It's incredible.
In the post-apocalypse where there's no gas, gas never runs out.
Never runs out.
They cut a scene where they had a pit stop at 7-Eleven.
You just didn't see the trunks. It was just like gas tank, gas tank, gas tank, gas tank. Like,
who wants a Take 5 bar?
That's why there were so many explosions, I guess. Everyone was hauling gas.
I mean, that the best way to describe this movie is it basically is one giant car chase. That's
it's crazy how much it asks you, like you said, world building. Like stylistically, it just asks you to dive in and digest right off the bat. Like, okay, this is where we're at, and then it just
throws you in.
Yeah.
This is really hard to do with little to no exposition. A lot of it is like, and Aren, we were talking before we started recording again, just the detail. So much of it is just, that's how it's, the whether it's the language or just like how it visually communicates everything. That the world building and detail in this movie is incredible. Would you recommend this to someone who wasn't necessarily a fan of action movies? Kait.
I'm thinking about my mom, who my dad drags to action movies. She calls Transformers 3 the worst 3 hours of her life. I do not think I would recommend this for her. She'd be like, so much violence. What's going on? I don't think she's not really much of a fantasy person. She reads a lot, primarily biographies. So I do not think she would like this. So I'm not sure I would recommend this to an action person. If there was someone who's like, I am like a big movie person and I want to see a good action film, I might, if they were interested in different elements. This movie definitely has a lot of characters that you could really care for. I feel like a lot of action movies, it's like, Vin Diesel couldn't show up today. We can just stick like Jason Statham in his place for this one scene, and like the character's like the same, like he can still do the action. But this one, the characters are so unique and they each have their own motives, which really helps drive the little bit of plot that there is. And I think that that's one of the things that makes this so great.
Drive the plot, pun intended.
Vroom, vroom.
Puts the pedal to the metal.
Ooh, get out of here.
Vroom, vroom, plot.
Your mom is not wrong. For the record, Transformers 3 is probably the worst movie ever made.
I couldn't get past the second one. That second Transformers movie was a travesty of filmmaking. As soon as that little Transformer started humping Megan Fox's leg at the beginning of the movie, I'm like,
does that happen in 2?
Oh no. Yes. It's terrible.
I don't even really remember what happens in 3, to be honest.
I think there's a moment where they go to Autobot heaven.
Oh yeah, Transformer heaven.
It's so bad.
Valhalla for Transformers.
Speaking of deep lore, Transformer lore.
Oh hell yeah. So I know you're not necessarily the biggest action movie though, but this spoke to you though.
Yeah, it was incredible. It has a lot of the just so much creativity. And when you're talking about, like, especially now with AI art and everything, like, that could never be this. Like, if you look at just, like, the wheels of the cars, and what about those, like, hedgehog dune buggies with all the porcupine spikes? Like, just incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. Rachel, coming to you, having not seen it in a long time and on a laptop. What initial thoughts coming on this one?
Well, it definitely, it's definitely as good as I remember. It's nice to see it on a bigger screen. You can really see all the details that you might have missed on a smaller screen. I think the thing that you talked earlier about how there's so little exposition, I think it really does work because there are so many world building details down to like the aquacola, guzzoline, the, between the character and set designs, the even the repurposed foot measure that she uses as a thing to stick the pedal. There's just so much that you can, for me, I couldn't remember anything about the background, but it doesn't matter because you get it. It's very efficient, and it's just the thing that sticks out to me. I'm I think I said before, I'm not much of a action movie kind of person, and part of that is because you don't see a lot of action movies with where women are the focus in the center. This could have very easily been a different movie where, the wives are, they could have been there as, prizes. They're going after them, and in one way it's kind of traditional to a kind of plot device, but they're so central to the plot, and they just bring so much to it, and even not just the younger women, but you end up seeing the older women as well, which you almost never see. That part at the end where they're towards the end where they've come up and you see these, masked riders come down the hill, you might assume, more men. No, this is just all mothers. And it's just so cool to see something like that. And that was definitely, Charlize Theron, she was, big reason why I was like, hey, I love her. I'd love to see, let's give it a shot. And it's just so good.
Charlize Theron, slay.
Slay.
It is fun to see how the film kind of inverts some of the gender tropes that you tend to see in the action movies, because like you say, it's like a lot of the time, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just done so often, but it's so often, guy fights guy and kind of gets girl as like a tangential prize to whatever main kind of a thing. And in this film, it's the antagonist who is chasing them basically to get his lady prizes. And the whole movie is just trying to basically stay ahead of him and not let him get that. So, usually, where the hero's trying to get the girl, like it's the villain who's trying to get the girls. And it's a really fun kind of inversion of some of the gender tropes, especially also, I'm really glad, like they show, and we'll get into some of this a bit later, but some of the stuff between Max and Furiosa, you can tell there's definitely like some chemistry or a bond there, but they don't turn it into a romance between those two at all. There's mutual respect and everything, and you can kind of imagine, maybe there's some kind of something, but that's just not what the relationship is. And though they do that with a little bit with the other the war boy who goes with them.
Nux, yes.
Nux, yes. He ends up having a little romantic subplot with one of the wives.
Yeah.
But I think that is used in a really smart way in that it's used for like character building, and it's not very possessive. It's more of him discovering human connection more so than like, I got a girlfriend.
Exactly. She's not a prize. He's done this whole character arc of coming around from, I'm going to go and get, my leader's things. I'm going to go and do this for him. And instead he's, had this so very human connection, which surely so many of these men are can't have. The only importance in their lives can be what they can accomplish for their leader. And instead we have this beautiful, at the beginning, like you wouldn't want to root for Nux even, but you're dragged into his whole arc there because you feel how badly he needs this, and then it's just so beautiful to see that come around.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Aren, probably the biggest fan of the movie here. Initial thoughts?
They're just over here like,
I have thoughts.
As glorious as I remember.
Yeah.
It's nice because I could focus more on the details this time, since I already knew basically the major plot beats and major events. It's just so incredibly detailed to production design and just all the tools they have, all the innovation the characters do, and since I had subtitles on this time, I can actually see what they were saying.
They're throwing out so many ridiculous terms and everything.
McFeasting. I was like,
Schmeg.
I know. Which and especially love the language part because I'm a language nerd, so I loved that. And it's just everything, all the elements are just so good. And if you want a high octane movie, it's this. It's a whole experience. It's not a movie. It's an experience. It's and the music and and I really, really enjoyed kind of the organic way that they started building trust with each other, and how well you can see how they respect each other. And I think it's really neat that even the wives were it's a crazy world, so I guess everyone kind of just, you have to be brave and just go and do stuff. I love how people just did stuff. They're just and I loved it. It was so cool to see these people do whatever they could.
Yeah, I can't remember all the names of the wives, but there's one in particular, and they do a really good job of not making them caricatures, but then giving them a character trait you can kind of latch on to. And there's one of them, I would assume the youngest one, she seems like the most hesitant to be there. It's oh my God, we're all going to die. But Cheeto. Is that Cheeto? At the end, she's the one who helps Furiosa take the other car and everything. But they don't really, you don't have these scenes of like, I'm just scared. And like, I mean, you get little bits of that, but it's not like, she doesn't have to like tell the audience, I'm the scared one, I'm the weak one. And then like, I'm going to have like, it's all just mostly implied. Like George Miller and the filmmakers, they trust the audience. Like you'll get it. Like, and so you can follow, like, say, her character arc without them really having to literally speak to it and tell you, look what she did.
Yeah, they're showing, not telling.
Yeah, exactly. This is the epitome of, like, show, don't tell. Like, they had the tiny bit of exposition in the very beginning with, like, the voiceovers and stuff. And then that was basically it. And I love this because it doesn't treat the audience like you're stupid. There's also no talking to the audience, which is dialogue that I hate. Right. I hate when they talk to the audience and not just to each other.
Here's what's going on. Here are the literal themes of the film you're watching.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So it was great. That's why it's one of the reasons it's also so good. I love watching a movie where they don't treat you with like kids' gloves at any point in the movie. Yeah. And I loved that.
Yeah, I feel like so many action movies, I mean, and you can do this, and like so many action movies are stupid in the sense that like it's like turn your brain off, and you know, they'll spoon feed you bad dialogue just to like give you reasons for things to happen. But this movie doesn't do any of that. Like
it demands your attention.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, it does. It's like, well, we were talking earlier before we watched the film about suspension of disbelief and how important that is in an action film. And I think some people just get the idea. It's like, you can just turn your brain off. And it's like, no, you still have to ground it in a reality. Like, not just don't be stupid about it. Like, be smart about it. Absolutely. Treats the audience really smart in this film. Thank God.
Yeah. And the pacing, a lot of the problems I've been having with movies recently is pacing. We'll be like, I like basically everything. It was literally just the pacing and length. This movie is great because it knows when to be fast and when you need to take a breather, but the breathers never feel too long. It doesn't feel like it never grinds to a halt necessarily. It's like the exhale or I don't even know.
The danger is always there.
Like, yeah, it's really good. And I love the color palettes between the day and the night. It's really good.
Yeah, they do a thing in this movie. You don't see this in a lot of movies where I was kind of speaking to the pacing where, I mean, and we're just looking at a shot just now, like there are times where George Miller slows down the frame rate and then sometimes speeds it up. And so the frame rate is constantly changing throughout the film. You don't see a lot of movies do that.
That's because I feel like you could do that and it would turn out really bad and goofy. Here, it's just like, it is kind of goofy, especially when it speeds up, but it's just like, I don't know. I'm on board.
Yeah, they go all in. I mean, the guy with it's just all so extra. I mean, the guy who's literally just shredding on his fucking like electric guitar. It's they're
flame throwing electric guitar. None of that is CG. That is all legit. Like him up there actually with the fire. It's like, yeah, they actually did that. It's like, that's insane.
See, and that's another big thing. So much of this is literally just practical effects. You don't get that Marvel thing where everyone's just acting on like a green screen. Yeah. Like that's what helps it also feel real. It's just like these stunts are like happening.
Yeah. So like Scorsese called movies like Avengers roller coaster rides or like theme park rides. What would you call a movie like this, do you think?
Yeah, like I was actually thinking about that same quote while you were talking, Aren, and I was like, and I mean we can get into this in a bit. Especially like what kind of separates this film from some other action films, but it's like, because this is a roller coaster ride, but I would like, this is also cinema though. Like it is not just
because you care about
Transformers 3 is a theme park ride, a bad one. Somehow this is both.
It's because it's not just entertainment, it's also art.
Yes.
That's the thing. The other ones, they're just like, we want to entertain people. We want it to be just exciting and be like, oh, that was so fun. This one's just like, we're going to entertain you and it's going to be artistic and like artistic as fuck. Like, it's gorgeous.
Yeah. Very gorgeous. Aren, also, I don't think you've seen this in a while. Initial thoughts, Mad Max Fury Road.
Highly recommend watching it again in black and white. Like give it a little time and then go back and turn all the color off on your TV and watch it again.
Isn't that what George Miller himself has recommended doing? Like, watch it in black and white?
Oh, it's so cool. Especially like the dust storm. It's beautiful. It's incredible.
Well, it's kind of surprising to me because, like, one of the things I miss in a lot of movies these days is color. So many movies have washed out color palettes. So when I was watching this, I'm like, this movie's so colorful. But then to hear George Miller, it's like, watch it in black and white. It's kind of like a little surprising to me. But I think there is, like, on the DVD, it's like, yeah, you can watch it in black and white if you want. So I need to.
Initial thoughts. Tom Hardy. I know he says he doesn't take a lot of inspiration from Mel Gibson's performance, but you can see it. I think in the way that he interacts with his props and I don't know. There's just little mannerisms that Mel Gibson has.
Have you seen the OG Mad Max films?
Yeah, not since I was like 12. Beyond Thunderdome is crazy.
The Tina Turner one.
Like, watch Mel Gibson. He just touches stuff. He like plays with it like he's a primate or something. And Tom Hardy taps into that
same kind of energy.
It's like, oh, a gun. It's like no other gun I've ever touched before. Very Mel Gibson. It's fun to watch. The world building. George Miller's vision, like nobody else in the world could come up with something like this. It's crazy, the singular vision that he has for this post-apocalyptic world.
Right. If I recall, there's like stories of like when they were filming this, Tom Hardy was like, he this movie was a struggle for him to do, and part of it is that he was like, I don't see the vision. What are we doing here? Like, and so it was really hard for him to connect with what they were doing. And so it wasn't until he actually watched the movie he was like, oh, George, you're a genius. I don't know how you did this. I didn't know what we were doing when we were making this movie, but it is almost unfathomable. Like, what? How? Like, but it's so solid and strong. If like vision were like a sandwich, you just feel like you could just bite into it with this movie.
It feels so cohesive, even though it's like there's just insanity going on screen, and I love that. Like, and it never like they never try to play it safe ever.
No.
Ever. Like, there's none of that, which I feel like so many movies do. You know, this one's just like come into it and be like, watch it and experience what I want you to say, not what I'm like, you know, I don't want to like sanitize anything for you or appeal to any kind of, you know, fish shakers or anything like that. I don't know, you know, there's 100% like commitment to everything.
Yeah, it's not just having the vision. I mean, I feel like you could spend years, I mean, this movie spent years in development hell. You could spend years in the concept phase just because of how crazy this is. But then you also have to execute. And I've seen so many movies that have like a good vision, but then like the execution is just, or it starts strong and then it fizzles out. But like none of that. They are going like 110% the whole time.
Kait was talking about that off mic a little bit about how long this movie took to get made.
Yeah, the concept was back in like 1987, and then he like tried filming it in the 90s, and it was stuck in development hell and forever. And then they recast Mel Gibson and just everything. But I think that he really hit it top notch, like the whole part of the movie. I was expecting near the end when they get to the not really green place, and then they were gonna drive over the salt desert. Like, okay, it's gonna be one of these movies where they just like drive off into the desert and there's no resolution, just nothing. Like, okay, like we had this whole big car chase, and then he's like, no, we're gonna turn around the Citadel. It has everything we need, but we just got to get rid of Morton Joe, and guess what? It's not defended right now. And then they turn around. It's like, wait, we just spent like 2 hours of this movie going this way, and now we're just gonna turn around and go back. And it was like, hell yeah, I am buckling in again. I thought I had too much car chase, but I haven't. And he just driving it hard to that finish line and just keeping the audience engaged the whole way. It's just masterful.
Kind of miraculous. Like you said, like it would have been so easy for it to just be like, I've had enough car chase. But you don't. And like like there's a huge chunk. It's like once they like the chase really gets going, and then like, you know, then they go into the sandstorm, and then they go into like the canyon. Like it's like a good 45 minutes where it's just this one giant action sequence, and then you're just like, well, how are they going to top this in a climax? And then somehow when they come back, somehow they top it at the end. I'm like, how did they do this? They already did like the craziest action sequence I can imagine, and then they top it for the climax. Incredible. This movie isn't like, the whole time I was watching this movie, like I saw it once in the theaters at the Brew Pub cinema, the Brewvies, and I was like, yeah, is this? A part of me was like, I remember loving it, but I'm like, was this like a novelty? Is this like you watch it once and it's awesome, and then you watch it again, you're just kind of like, okay, yeah, it's still cool, but watching it again, I'm like, I liked it more this time. I was like, this is insane. This is like, how did they pull this movie off? It's like, it almost feels like this movie shouldn't exist with like how good it is, like, and how well executed it is. Like so many of these action sequences, I'm like, how did they do this? How is anyone keeping this straight? And how am I following it? Incredible. When we were doing our little preview teaser before Aren, like, I mean, I think I just kind of hyperbolically said, like, you know, we're watching Mad Max, the greatest action movie ever made. I'm like, yeah, this actually might be the greatest action movie ever made. And I don't have one that comes to mind that immediately tops it.
There's certainly not one in my head where the characters grab me so much. Like, there's one of the old ladies, the one that takes the saw to the neck.
Yes.
That moment when she's sitting in the car and she knows she's going to die just rips my heart out every single time.
And then she reaches for the seeds.
And I've known her for like 10 minutes, right?
Right, 15 minutes. It's insane how much they make you empathize and care about all the characters with so little dialogue and so actual like conversation or intimate screen time. It's incredible.
When I think of movies that are the closest to being a perfect movie, this one always comes up in my mind first.
You know, and we can start with I mean, first off, like I said, this movie has like the reputation of being one of the greatest action movies ever made. Like, and our question from earlier was, you know, like what makes a good action movie? And it's like, I've seen lots of action movies and I like dumb action movies. And like when we were talking about our question from earlier, like what makes a good one? I think for this one, it's like, a couple different things. The visual storytelling is so on point in this movie. It's like, even if there somehow wasn't these crazy action sequences, even in the scenes where there's not as much action, like the visual storytelling is still just so on point. And I'm like, and I feel like that's so much of, in my mind, like the key to it. It's like used like this is a media where you're watching moving pictures. And so like, and just kind of letting those moving pictures tell the story. It feels so like pure in that sense. Like it's not a silent movie, but it almost feels like it's a silent movie. It doesn't have a lot of dialogue. It's all just letting you see everything that's happening and you get it all. And I don't get that in some other action movies where it feels like that should be the focus, but then there's just a lot of bad visual storytelling. And like, I've seen movies where like the action sequences are ruined because they're not done. Like, it's like, this should be a cool sequence. The No Time to Die car chase. Like, this should be cool, but I don't care.
Yeah, especially the one at the end where they go into like the woods and there's the helicopter. Like it's a cool atmosphere, and then they don't really do anything.
I don't even remember
it.
what you're talking about. That's crazy.
Exactly. No, exactly.
You make my point.
Yeah, I think what I think Aren was saying before, how what did you say? It's just artistic. It is. It's so, even like you get the part where it literally comes full circle. You even have the example of where we open in the beginning where he eats a two-headed lizard, and then towards the end, Nux is eating this little beetle. Like, I feel like, as you were saying about like feels like a silent film. I think it's partly because it relies so much on the visual storytelling. If they took away the dialogue, and if you literally had just like a storyboard, you would be able to see so much because it's showing you so much, and it really is. It's so well done.
Yeah, you almost feel like if you could somehow, if there's an option to turn off the dialogue and all the subtitles, you could more or less still follow like the movie and the story it's telling, which is how, like, as soon as that, you see the shot, like we're right now on the background, we're watching this scene where like Max stumbles upon the wives for the first time, and it's the first time that you as the audience is introduced to them, and you don't even, there's no dialogue that really explains who they are. Like, as soon as you see them, you can kind of like put together, oh, okay, that's what the stakes is, and that's what's really going on here. And no dialogue. I mean, they eventually like elaborate on it, of course, but you don't need anything to like explain what that is. And it's really compelling, I feel, rather than just like, because another thing with some bad action movies is the bad plot exposition that plagues so many action movies, where they feel like they have to explain everything in a movie that really has not an interesting plot at all. But some of these movies feel like they have to go out of their way to explain and set up these action sequences. You're just like, oh my God.
That's the only way they can try and make it interesting, because otherwise there's nothing else there.
Right. All we have are these set pieces.
This is a great movie with a great plot. Believe me. I'll explain it to you.
We're going to get there in about 90 minutes.
Oddly, you know what this scene reminds me of, where, they're stopped in the desert and he discovers the wives like cleaning themselves off. If anyone has read the book, I think it's by one of the authors from Game of Thrones. I think it's called City of Thieves, where the characters come across that house.
I think it's by David Benioff or something.
Yeah,
like that.
and it's like, it's so, the contrast between like this stark, brutal, charging through this wasteland, and then coming across this almost what's the word I'm looking for, not a mirage, but like it feels like a fever dream. It feels so unbelievable,
Dreamlike, certainly.
yeah. It's just and it's very effective.
Also, when you were kind of talking to Aren, like about just the being able to understand the motivations of a lot of the characters without needing a lot, and this scene in particular, again, like there's an action sequence here where like Max is holding them up, and then like trying to get water and trying to get free from like his chains and everything, and then like Furiosa gets the jump on him, and then Nux is there unconscious, and he wakes up and he kind of enters the fray. And this is another thing, like I think that's missing in so many action sequences, is using the action sequences to tell the story and to also kind of explore the characters. It's not just a cool set piece. It's like it's actually kind of conveying information. Like for me, the greatest action adventure movie, this is more pure action, but for me, like the greatest action adventure movie is Raiders of the Lost Ark, because so much of why that movie is so good is that so many of the action sequences, they're not just random things. Like that whole sequence in the beginning where Indy is trying to get the little idol. It's an awesome sequence, but they're using that sequence to introduce you to Indiana Jones and like that. Here's who this guy is. Or like the truck sequence, or like the constant, like say back and forth with the Ark of the Covenant. Like it's not just a sequence. It's like the Nazis have the Ark, and not Indy has to go get it back. There's still storytelling happening within the action sequences. And I feel like so many action movies just don't have that. It's like, we now interrupt this plot exposition for a random action sequence, and now back to the plot exposition. And here, like in this sequence where they're fighting, it's like, you see where Max is coming from. They're also setting up like the wives and then kind of Furiosa and then Nux. And then like they all have their different little agendas. And it's an action sequence and like with all these different parties all interacting, and through that action sequence, and it's like cool. It's really well choreographed. The action's amazing, but like they're actually helping set up who these characters are and where they're all coming from. And that's really hard to do, like, and make it effective, where it's like, just by watching this action sequence, I kind of understand who these characters are, what they need, what they're fighting for. It's really impressive. You just don't see that in a lot of action films, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, the action reveals character. So it's not just like a stop just to have an action scene. It's revealing character. The plot may not necessarily be moving forward like it was before necessarily, but like it's advancing like a character development.
And that's really what like cinematic storytelling is. Like if you're looking at action more broadly as just like things happening, like that's all a movie is just watching things happen. And that's how you convey the story, is like through watching what's happening. And it's ironically, it seems like action movies forget that a lot of the time. It's so strange and weird.
I think so many movies try to reveal character only through like dialogue, forgetting that any like you can reveal character and motivations with like the smallest of actions that they're doing. But so much of it is, and don't get me wrong, I do love talking. I love good dialogue, but sometimes I feel like they just lean on it too heavily, where it's just like the dialogue is doing all the heavy lifting, and I'm like, can I see choices? And I don't mean like big plot choices necessarily. I just want to see like choices within the scene. You know, I don't know.
I mean, again, this scene where it's like when Nux wakes up and, you know, but all of these parties were his enemy, and you see him make a conscious choice. Well, I'm going to help Max. I think he'll help me. No dialogue or anything, but it's all like, okay, Nux is making a choice here, you know? Yeah.
Also, another moment similar to that is when the wheels on the fuel pod stop working, and Furious is like, I'm going to go fix it. But then in that moment, Max is like, I'll go do it. And I feel like that's the moment where they become like allies, you know, just for that simple, you know, action of his to own the
choice he makes.
Yeah. All those little incremental moments of a choice that adds, it takes you further down the line. And it's,
What do you think? Is there anything else, like, as we were watching this that kind of stood out in terms of, like, what kind of maybe sets this apart from, I don't know, what other action movies are doing, or just other movies in general?
You know what? It doesn't have much of a plot. It's a pretty simple plot, but it's beautiful because it actually has something to say. And one of the things is, like, it's about freedom, which is fine. They could have sailed off into the salt sea, you know, and that would still been great. It's like, they're free. But instead of just freedom, they also decide to just go back and reclaim basically what was taken from them, which I think is a beautiful thought, especially in post-apocalypse when it's like the world's dying, when it's ever like, no, we're going to actually reclaim, like, you know, so they'll have their freedom and, you know, it's like, no, we're not just going to run. We're actually going to like fix. And I like it because Max makes a choice to not only survive, which is what he says at the beginning is all he does is just survive. He makes a choice to help. I mean, he goes off and survives, but he makes a choice to help them like live rather than survive, which I think is really beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah, that's also what stuck out to me was apocalyptic movies. They're so popular, you know, nowadays, and it's a big thing about them is that they, at their core, they can often be very hopeful, and you wouldn't expect it, but like they do. There's it looks like the world has ended. Our world has ended, but they have to live in it. They have to find a reason to live. And it's, you know, and what strikes me is that in some of these parts, it's so easy to go into like talking about these very overarching themes, you know, fighting for autonomy, freedom, you know, a better world. It can so easily go into the vein of being sappy and blah, blah, blah. But I think it's partly the reason for me it doesn't is because they go so hard. Like you can feel how badly they need this. And it's just so artfully done, like the part where, like in some of these types of movies where someone has this, they're talking about this mythical sounding place, and when you hear that, you're like, I kind of feel like maybe that's not going to turn out to be a real thing, and you wonder, why the heck would they think, it's been decades, why would that place still exist? And it's because they need that place to still exist to keep going. Yeah, and part of the reason they end up going back, like, they could have kept going, and it wouldn't have been so satisfying, just to literally go off into the distance, but they're forced to make that choice because they, that's part of Max's character development, right? Is he's like, hey, you could keep going, but for what? Or you could go back and go for everything, and
Exactly. Like Max, he's like, I don't have any reasons, and it sucks. All I have is a ghost in my past. Like, you need to turn around and go. And I think one thing that's interesting is if you look at Joe, like, everybody else, they're just looking for like a place to survive and to live. And Joe has all that. He controls it. There's greenery, there's crops, he has power, he has water, but he still is lacking something. To him, it doesn't matter because he wants it to be like carried down in his bloodline. He says, if there's no future, if there's no legacy, then I still have nothing. He's searching for that too. And if you look at all of the people, they all have these like disfigurements or these lumps, these tumors. They're all sick. The earth it's called sour or poisoned. And if you look at the women he chose to be his wives, they're all, they have no genetic mutations, and still Joe's children come out, a lot of them disfigured and stuff, and he just wants that legacy. That's what he's searching for, and his own twisted evil way, because he can't stand the fact that if these genes, if these congenital effects are coming from his wives and they're coming from him and he's dying, he has to wear this like plastic fake muscle armor to look strong, and his teeth are probably all rotted. We don't even know what's wrong with his face for him to wear that weird teeth mask, but like something's wrong with him, and he knows he's dying, and that's what he's searching for. It's not just some awful toxic masculinity thing, which, you can look for it. He's not just power hungry to be over these women. He wants this legacy to last. That's what he's searching for. He wants a future. He doesn't want this whole community, his cult, to die.
Yeah, it would be really easy for a lot of this to just kind of be like surface level, like you say, like toxic masculinity. I mean, I remember, and when this movie came out, there were people complaining. It's like, well, I don't know why it has to be like this feminist movie or whatever. It's like, oh God, toxic, it's like, but the movies, and while those are certainly, resonant themes, but like the movie, I think, goes even like deeper than that. Like it's on one level, it is looking at everything through a feminist lens, but I think even deeper, it's looking at things on a very human level.
Exactly.
And maybe like looking at using like the feminist lens to kind of explore that kind of humanity, but like I think that's another thing. While this movie like succeeds so much, it's like, again, so many of these action movies, again, they don't have to, but they're not very thematically strong.
This movie's about taking the power back.
Yeah. Right. Again, it's like there's another kind of inversion where so many action movies are kind of these power fantasies about like the main character, like, and like letting the audience like achieve like these kind of power fantasies to the main character, but like they kind of invert it a little bit. Like in the end, they end up saving everyone. It's not just them. Like the kind of like, it starts with Max, and then it kind of expands to like Furiosa and the wives, and then kind of Nux, and then like the mothers they introduce, and eventually it becomes like the redemption of everyone, and kind of like the power for everyone to kind of survive, And these are much more like thematically rich ideas than say like it would have been so easy for this to have been like good versus evil, and like have Immortan Joe just be this cartoonishly evil character, which he kind of is, but it's like, but like you said, there's more to him than just like when there's that horrible like ripping the baby out sequence. You can tell like he's emotionally affected by it. He's still like a monster, but like on some fucked up level, you can kind of sympathize with him because like everyone else, he's looking for a future in this whole. Everyone in this story is looking for a future, and Immortan Joe's looking for this kind of like power crazed, selfish version of it. But it's not just I'm evil for the sake of being evil. You can tell, like, again, with very little dialogue, Joe has his motivations, and like he has something that you can relate to. He wants a future, and everyone wants that. And it could have just been it could have just been like, again, you can do the really basic, stuff. Like he could have been Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. Just because. Why are you bad? The dark side of the force. So.
Yeah. It so many movies, hero focused movies. They're focused on this one guy, right? I mean, I feel like plenty of car chase type movies also, like, what was it, like Fast and Furious? You have like from what I can recall seeing them a long time ago, I think you have like a team. But that's what strikes me about this movie, is it's not just Max, like, trudging on alone. There's a whole bunch of people that are making this work. You could not have made this work with just one guy, and it's just so much more satisfying. It feels so much more oddly realistic, because you wouldn't normally go look at like an action movie and go like, oh yeah, that's realistic. I'm not saying like it's but that's what it feels, much more relatable in all these everyone has their part to play. If it had gone wrong just a little bit more, it would have turned out very different. And it's just, that adds to that humanity part.
Right, and because in so many other like action movies, the action hero guy or girl like is usually just so OP and unstoppable, which can be fun. Like not to say that that's not a valid kind of movie to do, but like that. What's so fun with this is that because Mad Max has already like a cinematic legacy. Even if you have not seen the Mad Max films, there's a larger franchise. So when the movie starts with Max, you're like, okay, here we go. I know this guy's gonna kick ass, and then instantly gets captured and loses all of his power and agency, and then even when like he can't do it all by himself. He like, I love the scene where like he's trying to do the sniper, but in the end he like Furiosa has to come and use his shoulder, and so she can do it. So, but they do it together, And
I love that so much. I do recall seeing online people being mad about, like, essentially, that it wasn't, that Max didn't have a bigger part to play, but the fact that he knows he can't do it alone, or at least he's slowly figuring it all out, it makes it's such a bigger, more satisfying moment when they do work together like that. It's just, it's so beautiful. I love it.
I love when he does have his moment, it's completely off screen. Somehow he walks into the mist, there's like an explosion, and then he just comes back with all of his, I'm like, okay.
Covered in blood.
And the boot, he just randomly has the boot like,
I found this too.
All those small little details. It's just, that's why I think on the rewatches, you pick up on, there's always more to pick up and notice.
It's called Mad Max, but it's really Furiosa's story. She's the one that has the motivation. She's the one that's driving it. She's the one that chooses to go down there. He was just, this wanderer, this nomad, and he was captured as a blood bag. And then he's like, well, I gotta escape, and I guess they're my best bet. But he's just kind of going along with her plan. And then by the end, he makes decisions, and he's, leading the way, saying like, hey, turn around on the salt flats. But it's really her story. He's the
POV character, but it is her story.
Yeah, it's Eye of the Storm, basically.
Right. It's kind of like Moby Dick, where it's like, really, if you read it, the main character is Ahab, and this is Ahab's story, but you're seeing all this through the eyes of Ishmael and like his perception of it. So, though I do take exception for the people say like he gets sidelined in this movie. I'm like, no, like he still has lots of like character stuff in this movie, and going back to the themes of kind of like working together, it's like he starts off as a guy who's constantly, throughout the whole movie, he's haunted by like, save us, you didn't save us, Max, and so now, like, in order to deal with that, he's kind of living by himself, so he doesn't have to save anyone. But then, like, as he kind of falls in with this little group, it brings some of this stuff up. I need to save everyone, but eventually that kind of gets retextualized. It's like, it's not me saving everyone. It's all of us like saving each other kind of a thing. So like the theme kind of comes together through Max. But then again, like you say, like, but this is actually then Furiosa's story when it really comes down to it. I don't know how you could be mad because Furiosa is such an incredible character. Like
Jaron, she's a woman.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, and he has such especially at the end, he has a major part to play. He's the one that's like, hey, we should go back, take, reclaim your home. There's something there if you are willing to fight for it. It's a major moment. It's very important, and it's I want to say it's maybe a little bit inverse from that earlier part where the wives are bathing off, and then he steals the rig, and Furiosa's set it up so that it can't go anywhere. So she's essentially physically stopped him from being able to go. And at the end, he is like, hey, we should go back. It's again that very
he stops her
full circle thing, and
There's lots of little like cinematic poetry in this, like moments that kind of call back to other moments and that kind of rhyme with each other, and it's really well done.
Yeah, I love that scene because everyone has a discussion about it and chips in to decide whether to go back. It's not just like one or two people necessarily making the decision to go back. It's a team effort, which is like, I liked that.
Mm-hmm. Another thing I like about this movie is there's still lots of movies I don't see, but like sometimes I fear there is a current trend of these kind of high profile movies where I watch them, and they're like on an aesthetic level like a triumph, but then there's like the substance is quite like they're relying so hard on like these really cool like camera shots and like in your face stuff, and I'm like, that was all really cool. But so what?
Yes, it is so popular nowadays, and I hate it.
It drives me crazy.
It's so kind of more vibes-based, and it's like, yeah, like you said, it's missing that substance. And here you have a perfect example of you can have both. You can have the vibes. You can have the beautiful aesthetics and the crazy moments, and have it, just a little bit extra work. Have it mean something. It's,
Your aesthetics, I know it's like yes, you can do aesthetics for aesthetics' sake, and there's place for that. But like, again, this movie uses aesthetics again in the same way as just kind of just like cinematic storytelling. It's like it's using the aesthetics to communicate ideas to you, the themes, the action. It's like it's not just us. They could have. There's a universe out there where like where they made this. It's like, how cool can we make this all look? And that's the primary motivation. And this one, it's like, okay, we want it all to be cool, but it's like, even like the guy, the guitar player, it's ludicrous. Like it's a pure aesthetic thing. In no real world would this ever happen. But still, like, the guy on the guitar tells you a lot, like, about the world they're living in, and Immortan Joe and everything. It's like it's still conveying ideas to you rather than just being like, wasn't that cool? It's like, yeah, but so what?
Bring to mind Valerian, the City of 1,000 Planets. Have you seen that?
Yeah. I need to watch it.
Aesthetically beautiful.
Yeah.
Substance, empty sandwich.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those. This was one of my problems with Saltburn. Was that like in the end it was like the vibes were awesome, the aesthetics were awesome, but when it was done I was like, there was a lot of stuff thematically there to explore. And like, I didn't hate Saltburn, I actually enjoyed Saltburn, but I was like, but there was so much you really could have tackled and explored. It's sitting there, but it just seems like in the end they were more concerned about the vibes. And I'm just like,
they just want the reaction. It's like they're making these movies and they're like, wasn't that cool? And then they're just like looking over at you like, wasn't that cool? Wasn't that shocking? Oh my gosh. Rather, this one's just like, do it, and they're just like, Yeah, that was cool. And they're not even looking, they're not even looking at you for validation when they're like, watching. They just know it's cool.
Yeah, there's such a confidence.
Yeah,
This movie just knows.
Yeah.
You are gonna think this movie is awesome.
It doesn't need to like try and flaunt it. It's just like just watch it.
Which seems ridiculous because this movie is every shot is flaunting things left and right, but it never feels or comes across that way at all.
It's because it's not like coming off as it's not like, I don't want to say desperate. That's too strong of a word, but
yeah, it's not desperate.
Yeah.
It's not fighting for your attention.
Exactly.
Like from the first shot, that first shot when it just boom and you see Max in the desert, I'm like, you have my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, just constantly have my attention.
Yeah, and too many movies are too busy trying to get basically shock value. And
I know.
Yeah.
Which again, all these things have their place. It just feels like we just rely on them way too much, and it just kind of gets
rampant.
Boring and meh.
This one's almost begging you to find like an imperfection.
Yeah.
Like an inconsistency.
Really.
Right?
I mean, one of the things I was going to bring up, it's like, I mean, we've been lauding this movie, Is there anything where we're watching this, it's like, this could have been better, or I wish we had more of this? Is there any kind of criticisms that we can make for this movie?
I think one thing that at least was a question for me is when the really pregnant wife, when she gets pulled out of the car, and it's kind of hard to see visually whether she really went under the wheels or not. And Max, he's haunted by all these ghosts, and he's just like, she went under the wheels. Like, that's a story he's going to tell himself. And I thought that he would say something different. This would really be a change in his character arc about caring more, but I feel like I didn't see that. I feel like it could have made this great connection, but I feel like we didn't really see what was going on mentally to turn him around.
Okay. Well, if that's it, that's a pretty minor complaint.
Just one little plot hole.
One little thing. What do you guys think? Is this, or just speaking real quick, what do you guys think about the performances in this film?
They're great.
We haven't talked too much about the acting, but
I think it's solid. Nothing like extraordinary, just solid.
Solid.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think the acting is great, because I think if you had actors who weren't as skilled, I think it wouldn't have worked as well, because you have to do so much with so little, given that the dialogue there's just not as much dialogue. So I don't know. I really like the performance, but also I actually didn't know when I looked back, and I was like, oh, that's Nicholas Hoult. I didn't know who he was at the time, but I really liked his character. So for me, that's at least for me, that's proof that, like, yeah, he's a great actor, and because it worked for me, even though I didn't know who these people were. I knew who Charlize Theron was. I think she was the only one who I went in knowing who she was.
This movie was kind of a breakout role within breakout roles for Nick. I feel like he moved into the A-list with this movie.
This one?
Yeah.
There's only one time I don't like the acting. We just passed it. It's when the lady falls out and they think she's dead. The redheaded lady is in the back going, yeah, with her hands on her forehead. I'm like, okay. That's the only time.
Yeah.
Again, if that's one of the only criticisms we have, this movie's doing something right.
Well, and for me, it's not a criticism. I can imagine, I don't know if this is true or not, but I can imagine someone looking at this and going, you know what, I think there's too much, like, for some people, I guess it might be a little bit exploitative. There's too much skin, too much focus on the female bodies. But for me, because it's so efficient it's so important to the plot, and it's so visually contrasting between this harsh, very masculine background and versus these very beautiful women. You can see so much of them. It's just, I think maybe for some people it could be a bit exploitative, but for me, I feel like they manage the balance. But, maybe that's just because I'm bisexual and I think they're beautiful. So it doesn't bother me. So it could be, I'm probably biased. But, because there's so much, the part, like, literally where they have, like, these women hooked up to, like, these machines, and they're, like, literally being milked like cows. And it's treated that way. But it doesn't feel exploitative for me, because they're literally fighting for their own autonomy in this.
Right.
So for me, that's not a criticism, but
it's not playing it for titillation.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I feel like it does kind of sexualize them, and in some scenes objectifies them, but like with like not in a way that at any point that's like trying to get like, you know, a rise out of you or a reaction to you. You're right, because it's like you know, because these are basically his little like, you know, breed toys from his point of view, you know, and the movie is showing you that like they are sexualized creatures, but it never takes away their like autonomy and everything, and it's always showing it in a way that's like it's not gratuitous, it's not the audience is on board with like, yeah, fuck this, you know. So
they actually get more clothes as the movie goes on. It's great. Another example of visual storytelling, like the headband the one girl has and the goggles, and yeah.
And don't forget that all humans are being used like that. At the beginning, Max is being used as a blood bag. He just gets called blood bag. Like, yeah, he's not naked, but it's just showing how they're exploiting people and
their bodies,
exploiting women's boobs for milk to feed his adult son. That's one way they do it.
And it's always the most grotesque, tumorous, cankerous individuals that have all the resources.
God.
And they're hoarding it against all the people, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, again, working on that deeper level, it's like, because the show, it's also showing like, say, like it's tackling things on this humanist level, because again, it's also showing the consequences of, say, like what this world is on Nux, on how he's not getting the connection he needs and everything, and so like it's not. People say it's like, you know, it's just this feminist movie. I'm like, well, yes, but it's like, but it's examining so much more than just that. Like, it's you again through that lens, but it's showing how this affects everyone. Not just, you know, and how everyone, like the war boys, they're all just basically expendable little, you know, like how horrible for everyone in this world.
Yeah, where are all the girls, all the women? You see a few people like crying for water, but there are all these war boys and
Yep.
no women.
As we start to wrap it up, what do you guys think? Does this movie transcend the genre?
Yes.
Yes.
Like multiple genres, dystopian, sci-fi, desert, action, car chase movie.
Yeah.
It's everything.
This is the ideal. This is what every other action movie should strive to achieve.
I agree. I'm like, this is the Tiffany's gold standard. Like,
as a producer, you should be looking to make movies like this, right?
It wasn't as successful as they wanted it to be, though. I think, you know, in the years now that it's, you know, streaming and home video, of course, you know, but it wasn't as successful as they wanted it to be. But I mean, it cleaned up at the Oscars. I think it won more Oscars that year than any other movie.
Yep, it did. Won the most Oscars that year.
6.
Should have won more.
6 of 8.
It does seem like some movies from like 10 or more years ago, they were just, maybe at the time they weren't as seen as good, but like when you compare them with the movies that we have now, it's like actually that was like a good movie.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to disregard the movie before even seeing it because of the genre.
It's a genre movie,
and you know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, if I were to do, like, again, a list of, like, again, I haven't seen everything. If I were to do a movie, like, a best of the last few decades, I'm like, this would easily be on this list. I'm like, yeah, no, this is just a good movie.
This is like a near perfect movie to me. I mean, yeah.
Right. I'm like, I am hard pressed to find any criticisms with this, aside from, like, anything, like, basically anything would be a nitpick. Like,
it really is.
But, like, again, this movie feels miraculous to me. I'm like, I don't know how they did this. This is incredible. It makes me a little trepidatious for Furiosa. I'm like, how are you going to top this? Like,
I don't think it has to.
It just has to tell its own story.
Yeah.
As long as it's its own movie from beginning.
As long as
to
it
end.
doesn't try to lean on this one like too much.
Right.
Like
remember that one?
Right.
Yeah, I wonder why this one works so well as opposed to the common, you know, missteps nowadays with the very little substance. If you know, if they go in with this focus on such skill and attention to detail, you know, I'm sure no reason why it wouldn't be a good movie.
Well, fingers crossed. Yes. Hey everyone, this is actually Jaron from the future interjecting into the podcast. So at this point in our recording, our guests actually had to make a rather abrupt exit. We actually recorded this in the morning before people had to go to work. So we went a little long. We kind of had to cut it short with some of the discussion, though it will continue here in a second. I want to real quick say thank you to everyone for coming to meet in the morning. That was all very generous of you. We run a tight ship here on Star Trek Stories. Very tight ship. Early morning podcasts. But they all did leave with me, all of our lovely guests, they left with me their final thoughts. So I'm going to go ahead and read these final thoughts, probably respond to them very briefly, and then we're going to jump back into the recording. Aren and I continued for just a little bit afterward and wrapped it all up. So we'll start with Kait, who is our newbie for this one. I'll start with Kait's final thoughts. Kait says, I'm really excited for the Furiosa prequel. I'm wondering if she lost her arm on the job, or if her limb started going cancerous and she took it off herself to try and save the rest of her. Yeah, who knows? I guess that will be one obvious thing to show in the prequel is how she loses her arm. I don't think they ever go into it in the movie, so it's kind of a mystery. They explain some things and leave some things a mystery in this movie. Kait continues, as for Fury Road, it was awesome, but I don't think I will be able to watch it again for a while. I might be exhausted of action movies for some time. It was great and it kept me enthralled, but also it was a lot. And now that it's done, I can say, cool, check it off the list. Moving on. I can actually feel this on some level, Kait. Especially if you're not really like a movie person in general, or even like an action movie person. I remember seeing this when it first came out, and I loved it. But I also have not seen it since that first time. They definitely throw a lot at you, and I think for me it was like awesome. I'm just gonna let that sit for a while, and it's been sitting for the last almost a decade now. So yeah, I can definitely fill you on that. And thank you, Kait, for coming on and talking about it. It was really fun to have you over. Moving on with Rachel. I'll read Rachel's final thoughts. I wish there were more movies like this in our current movie era. I think even if it came out now, it would feel fresh because of how vibrant the world is. There's nothing new regarding stories about humanity and freedom, but the way it's delivered makes it feel fresh. It's just so outlandish and extra and goes in 110%. Definitely ages well, in my opinion. I definitely agree, Rachel. I wish there were more movies like this. Not necessarily, big stylish action movie, but there's just so much heart that goes into this movie. There's so much ambition that goes into this movie. And for how superficial this could have been, there's a lot of depth and meaning to it. A lot of real artistry and authorship. And I agree. I feel like a lot of these things nowadays feel very kind of cookie cutter, or like we were saying earlier, vibes based. So yeah, I definitely agree with you, Rachel, and I think it ages very well. And thank you for coming on the podcast, Rachel. It was really fun to have you come talk about it after having only seen it on a tiny laptop. And then finally, we have Aren and their final thoughts. My guess is they're going to like it. Aren says, this is one of the best movies of all time. Definitely the best action movie of all time. It works on basically every level, made with so much love, confidence, and a solid vision, and it commits. It's got plot, theme, message, character, world building, action, set design, visual and practical effects, heart, goofiness, seriousness, color, immaculate detail. It conveys so much with seemingly so little and demands your attention while never, ever treating the audience like they're dumb or needs things explained. It's a near perfect movie. it's very hard for me to disagree, Aren. I also think this is essentially about as close as to perfect as a movie can get. Hard to find a lot of real meaningful flaws. And also agreed that this is one of the best movies of all time, and this is my favorite action movie of all time. I love the list you leave here. Sometimes, we kind of disparagingly use the term, they're just checking off all the boxes. But in this case, I'm going to very positively say that this movie checks off all the boxes from everything you would want. Plot, theme, message, character, world building, action, set design, visual and practical effects, heart, goofiness, seriousness, color, immaculate detail. I don't know what more you could want from a movie. Thank you also, Aren, for coming on. I definitely knew you were the first person that came to mind when we thought of this one, so I knew you were going to come in and be our enthusiastic fan, but I also agree with you. I share your enthusiasm. Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate all of you coming on. Thanks for coming early in the morning with us to record a little silly Mad Max podcast. So, yes, all of our lovely guests had to kind of bounce real quick.
Time for work.
Yes, we did this as a quick little morning podcast so we can get everyone for work. Aren, any final thoughts on Mad Max Fury Road?
Yeah. I'm collecting more, I think, of what it takes to make a good action movie here. Is listening to everybody. You need good characters.
Yep.
You need a reason to give a shit about these people.
Yep.
You need a vision.
Yep.
You need a take. Not necessarily a niche take, but a take that separates you from the vague No Time to Die's of action movies, right?
More aesthetics.
Yeah. More direction. You need solid performances from your people.
Yeah, one thing I was like, as far as the performances go, I was going to say, I wasn't like wowed or like, underwhelmed by Tom Hardy the first time around when I saw this. Like, he was great, but I think for me, who stole the movie, of course, was Charlize Theron as Furiosa. Like, again, who said this is her movie. But this time around, paying more attention to Tom Hardy, his performance, and Max, I actually think he does a fantastic job in this film as well.
He fills the shoes.
Yeah.
He's Max.
Yeah.
Like, you at no time you're like, boo.
No, I totally buy it.
He's awesome.
Yeah. I agree with all that. And I think what I would also say, just like, just use the action to commit to visual storytelling. Like, come up with a reason for all of this. Like, don't just have, sometimes I feel like some of these are reverse engineered where it's like, wouldn't this be a cool action sequence in a movie? And then they just string a plot around those cool action sequences. The bad James Bond movies feel like that. The good ones, like Skyfall, feel like they actually have something they want to kind of get across to the audience. Or Casino Royale, there's something they want to get across, to the audience.
And the people that made those movies are like, well, what made it bad? We followed the formula, right? We did all the groundwork. Right? We did everything we were supposed to do.
Why don't they like it?
Huh. Why isn't Moonraker considered one of the best?
Hey, that is one of my guiltiest of pleasures is Moonraker. It's the same kind of thing though. Like when you watch that, opening chase sequence in Casino Royale, in my mind, one of the great action sequences of all time. I still remember seeing that in the theaters and just jaw hitting the floor.
Still being referenced and parodied
all
in
the time.
Movies and skits and like everywhere.
But it's not, and of course, like, it's well choreographed. The set pieces are incredible. But again, it works because they're telling a story. They're introducing us to this James Bond, and they're showing us how far this James Bond, and the visual cues with like the terrorist who is this incredible with finesse, and he can get through these little cracks and blah blah blah, and Bond just barrels his way through all of this, or has to outthink it. So you're getting notes on the characters. Like the sequence itself is a story with characters.
Right. And out of context, it's even a little silly. It's like they're being allowed to just run about this place, like no one's stopping them.
Of course. I feel like this movie is like, if somehow you could, that sequence in Casino Royale were like a whole movie, that's what this movie is. Just one giant sequence, action sequence, but that is telling a story.
Every shot.
Yes. So that's my biggest note. Use your action to tell the story and inform the characters. Like, don't just have random excuses for action. Mm-hmm. And then just, again, commit to the visual storytelling on a broader sense for action. Just commit to it.
Right. And that might not make $1 billion, but...
This did not make $1 billion. No.
I'm sure it made money. I hope it did. Maybe it looks pretty expensive. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's one thing. It's like if they took the marketing into account, like it probably lost a little in its initial theatrical run. But I think it's also like the long game. In the years since, home video, streaming deals.
Oof. Okay. So, yeah, it's in the hole about 40 mil, somewhere between 20 and 40 million estimated overall.
But again, I think if you're playing the long game, again, the streaming deals, the home video that comes after, because this movie only has incredible word of mouth.
Right.
So lots of people have seen the movie since then. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't be doing a prequel if this movie in the end was not profitable for them.
True.
But compared to say like 50 years from now, they are not going to be talking about Avengers Endgame. They will be talking about this movie.
Right.
Again, the long game. It's what sets the theme park ride from true cinema. I think Scorsese himself would also call this is absolutely cinema.
Yeah.
It's not just a theme park ride.
Maybe, yeah, it's hard to quantify at some points, but like this certainly, George Miller knows what he's doing. Yeah. I think George Miller knows what an action movie is.
I think part of the story is like, he wanted to do this to show people, here's how you do an action movie. And I'm like, yep, this is a masterclass in how you do an action movie. Again, this whole time we've been thinking like, is there anything that comes to mind that tops this? I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I'd have to think about it, like still, but I'm like, it's just so good. maybe a Tom Cruise movie, like set piece wise, maybe one of the Mission Impossibles. I will take this over all of the Mission Impossibles combined.
I'm just trying to think of anything that would come close.
Good sequences, yes. Sequences that rival or surpass some of the sequences in this, sure. The movie as a whole, I don't know. If you think there's a better action movie out there, listeners, you can email us at storiedstartrek@gmail.com. That's storiedstartrek@gmail.com. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. We hope you enjoyed our coverage of Mad Max. I know this is one of our like gushing. Sometimes it's like we actually have like we did actually have lots of stuff to talk about, but then it was like,
sometimes we have like criticisms and jibes and things like that, but it's just like, oh, this movie.
This is so good.
We ate it up. We love it.
We were all, there were a couple times where we made comments, but we were all pretty quiet and engaged like the whole movie. Mm-hmm. It's hard not to be. You feel like you're going to miss something. If you look away for a second.
Something really cool too. Like, oh, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for listening, everyone. We hope you enjoyed it.
Were there Mad Max toys?
For this movie?
I mean, the video game came out, which is awesome.
The video game, I don't think there was a lot in the way of like action figures and stuff like that, like the merchandising.
No,
I think some of the older stuff, but
I want a war rig.
A fun little fact: the war rig is a little analogy for Moby Dick. Some of the spear harpoon throwing and everything, and like the Immortan Joe is like Captain Ahab trying to get his white whale.
Another inverse.
Yeah. The mother, it's got mother's milk, so sometimes you see like the white milk come out.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right. Next week, I think we're probably going to take a little break. But after that, we're going to be getting back into more Star Trek.
Yeah. More good stuff.
Yay! I do like doing these. These are, like, again, fun little palate cleanser. Wipe the slate clean and let us go back into Star Trek fresh. Mm-hmm. What's Star Trek? I've never seen it before. So, yeah, when we come back, we'll be doing a little teaser for what we have coming up next on Star Trek Stories. I'm sure a lot of you listeners can already guess what it is because we've been basically geeking out about getting closer to it for the last several weeks. But yeah, we'll have a little teaser for what's coming up for Star Trek Stories. I have a lot of fun stuff to look forward to. Thanks for coming on, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks, y'all.
And thank you, Aren.
Thank you, Jared.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you to our guests.
Thank you to our guests.
It was so fun having you, seriously.
Yeah, well, you're the best host ever.
Oh, thank you. We are the best.
And we will see you all, hopefully, not hooked up to a lactating boob. Oh my God. That is maybe the most like, wow, I don't think I've ever seen someone be objectified so hard in a movie before. Like they are literally just like
living cows.
Human
cows. Oh no.
Yeah. Hopefully you are not hooked up to a lactate, unless that's your thing.
Yeah, if you're into it.
Yeah, unless you like being milked. If you do like being milked, you can email us and share us your milk stories at storiedstartrek@gmail.com. That's storiedstartrek@gmail.com. All right, thank you all. See you all at the gates of Valhalla. Witness me! Witness!